Shadow Primeape, gonna fire off the Rage Fist on the charge attack priority, maximising farm. Out comes Cresselia, unfortunately something we won't be nuking. Rage Fist hits the super effective, but Cresselia, one bulky boy, we farm up, make the catch, back onto Galvantula. Primeape remains alive, but unfortunately has undone its own attack buff. Back out comes Primeape, continuing to farm up energy. Primeape gonna unleash the next Rage Fist. We're gonna need one further to remove them from the field of play. We farm up to the double, the opponent makes the catch, back onto Dragonite. But it's too little, too late. Primeape already doubled up. It's going to be hi Cresselia, bye Cresselia, GG's, and thanks for playing. Welcome back to the channel. As requested, today we finally have that showcase of Shadow Galvantula in the Open Ultra League. This very attack-weighted, pesky little spider has very much fallen from grace. It is currently ranked 404th on pvpoke. However, there was once a time when this thing was a very good anti-meta pick. There was once a time that Open Ultra League was ruled by XL Pokemon such as Jellicent, Mandibizz, Umbreon, Scrafty, Poliwrath. I could continue on. Even stuff like Pidgeot. Unfortunately, all of these Pokemon are very much pushed out the meta, meaning Galvantula has very few targets. To make matters worse for this thing, Mudslap of course has been buffed. Galvantula using Volt Switch as a quick move will be hitting ground types for double resisted damage. Stuff like Zygarde also going to be a very big problem. Team building today was quite complicated. Of course, I don't like to pad my shadow Pokemon out with top bulky meta threats, so I thought we're going to need to use Drifblim, because if I see a Mudslapper, I'll probably be crying. And I thought, why have one Shadow Glass Cannon when you can have two? So Primeape returns to the screen. Attempting to use both Primeape and Galvantula on the same team is no easy feat. Neither of these Pokemon can tank a charge move to save their life. However, it is going to make for some very entertaining battles. Speaking of which, my recent videos have performed very poorly, so if you are someone that appreciates my content, do me a favour and smash that like button. With that being said, without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game one, I'm going to lead Shadow Galvantula into Venusaur. We certainly take that lead. Quite a neutral matchup. Volt Switch going to be resisted, and likewise, we do resist the grass type damage as Bug does resist grass. Point to note about my Galvantula, it does look like it's underleveled. It's actually not. I could Best Buddy equip it, but today Primeape has that Best Buddy boost instead. We fire off the lunge. Lunge hits Venusaur for neutral as Poison does resist Bug, whereas Grass takes super effective. I actually go for a discharge here, anticipating the opponent potentially trying to catch a lunge on something that does resist Bug. However, the opponent doesn't make a catch, and they give me a shield advantage regardless. The opponent going to be unable to Vine Whip farm down. They heavily over farm, ensuring they have a charge move to throw out whatever comes out. But unfortunately for them, this charge move is going to do nothing. One stage debuff Drifblim easily tanks the Frenzy Plant. Out comes Greninja. We see the pivot into Primeape, and out comes Skeledirge. Of course, Karate Chop going to be double resisted, but Primeape with that party trick of Rage Fist that not only hits for super effective, but has a 100% chance to vamp up his attack. Primeape already smelling blood in this first battle. Going to throw the correct two Karate Chops and the next Rage Fist. Rage Fist goes unshielded, removing Skeledirge from the field of play. Back out comes Greninja. We've still got a shield to hide behind. I will be investing it here. The win con's quite simple. Don't mess around throwing any silly baits. Full send the close combat. They're already in Shadow Ball range. The opponent looks to call the bait. We don't bait, and we take that game. That's kind of how most of these battles go. You're going to win very quickly or die very quickly. In the next battle, this time we see Skeledirge in the lead. We say switch into our balloon, and out comes Greninja. Things not looking fantastic whatsoever. Shadow Ball, despite being resisted, does over half the health. The opponent didn't need to shield that, but of course, I'm certainly not complaining. The opponent opts to throw energy. They could have actually farmed up one further Water Shrieking, throwing on CMP. However, regardless, they're very nicely overfarmed, meaning they're going to reach two charge moves against Galvantula. I tanked the first, hoping it was the Night Slash. They full send the Hydro Cannon, and they are going to fire off the departing Night Slash. Galvantula going to be operating as the damage sponge, and once again, we're going to trust in the two-shielded Primeape versus the Wild. Primeape comes in, gets that Karate Chop farm down. Skeledirge re-enters the arena. We already saw from the previous battle that two Rage Fists remove them from the field of play. The first one goes unshielded. I'm going to throw the maximum that I can. 7 Karate Chops and the Rage Fist, always ensuring I've got the most amount of energy I physically can. Down goes Skeledirge. Gator enters the arena. It looks like I'm going to be unable to reach the double CC, so I go for the Rage Fist bait. The opponent craps their pants, putting up that Protect Shield. Primeape able to reach the close combat, and once again, going to nuke the backline. GG's, and thanks for playing. The Ultra League is currently full of trainers just hiding behind very bulky, very boring Pokemon. But I think Primeape is a prime example that a Shadow Glass Cannon with an energy lead and a shield advantage is a lot more effective and way more fun. In the next battle, we see a dreadful lead. We say switch into our balloon and out comes Licky Far Too Thicky. I did mention in the intro that team building today was quite problematic. We are ABA weak to rock, but thankfully there's not really too many rock moves that are offering fast move pressure from the Ultra League. Don't get me wrong, when you get your balloon stuck against a rollout user, it is miserable, but it kind of is what it is. The opponent full sends a Hyper Beam, we pivot into Primeape, back out comes Golurk. Things not looking fantastic. Can Primeape to shield its way through yet another team? We fire off the Rage Fist, the opponent gonna shield the first. Primeape able to reach the next one. The opponent's already shielded once, of course they're going to shield twice. It looks like the opponent's committing to fast moves. This potentially gives me a win con. We fire off the next Rage Fist removes them from the field of play. The opponent taking a long time to send something out. I remember this battle, and you're going to see I make a huge mistake. I've still got 2 shields high behind. The opponent catches the lunge. If I fully undercharge this, farm down, leaving with a charge move, I win. However, I hit too many bubbles. You're going to see Primeape doesn't get enough energy. I'm going to die one short. Potentially a winnable game, despite the dreadful alignment. Jamie Finn, do better, buddy. Heading into the next battle. We see the Battle of Spice Galvantula into Enamorous. The opponent say switches into Donphan, and it's my turn to be on the right side of RPS. The opponent farm up a bucket load of energy, and it kind of makes sense they're on play rough, as of course you don't want to be fully walled. If you're going to say switch Donphan by something like my balloon, I fire off the Icy Wing, go for the undercharge, wanting to get some more farm. The undercharge is going to enable me to be one off the Icy Wind. Icy Wind going to hit Enamorous for super effective, and this is one insanely glassy Pokemon. The opponent puts up that Protect Shield, and they're forced to throw kind of immediately as the Astonisher chunking through their non-existent HP stat. They fire off the Fly. Fly removes me from the field of play. Back out comes Galvantula. We're going to go for the 1 shield, full Volt Switch farm down, and this game already looks sign sealed and delivered. Out comes Swampert. We're going to farm up to the double lunge. Galvantula obviously going to win CMP. I'll throw 1, bank the next one, catch on Primeape, essentially for no reason whatsoever. Sorry, Mr. Opponent, I was very frustrated about how poorly I played the last battle. We're then going to farm up, throw the close combat on the charge attack priority, and that is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see Galvantula into Alolan Ninetales. It's like we're back in Season 7 when XLs were first released. You can already see Galvantula's lack of bulk. I attempt to throw the correct 5 volt switches and the discharge for optimal fast move timing. This is where 4-turn moves really come back to haunt you. Again, I should throw 2 there, but after that, I'd kind of run out of HP, so I opt to throw the discharge instantly. I could look to snipe with Drifblim, but instead I opt to throw the lunge, looking to force my shield back or pick my alignment in the back. Out comes Shadow Ursaring, so I'm glad I've got alignment. However, down a Protect Shield, this is problematic. The opponent farm up to a close combat. I do respect getting it baited with a Trailblaze, and I have no Protect Shields too high behind me. Farm up, anticipate the opponent looking to throw the boosted Swift. We catch onto the balloon, where it is double resisted. The boosted Shadow Claws will chunk. We manage to fully astonish farm down. I've got no idea what's in the back, as the opponent says no thank you and concede the match. Heading into the next battle, we see Shadow and Shadow Crime with Galvantula into Granbull. My elo is probably a lot lower than it should be at this point in the season. I have been running a hell of a lot of Spice. Shadow Granbull tearing me apart. We go straight for the discharge. Discharge goes unshielded, removing them from the field of play. Golurk temporarily enters the arena. We pivot into the balloon, baiting out Drapion. Of course, I could have just let myself go down there and get the correct alignment. However, when you're running this very, very glassy team, I'm always going to look to save a low health Pokemon as a potential third shield. You can see as the opponent is looking for the full Poison Sting farm down, we're going to get 2 debuffs off on this Drapion and actually force a shield. Primeape with a shield advantage, going to be in a very good position to sweep. I'm actually going to go for a cheeky show and go. Look to sack Galvantula. We send out Primeape, look to make the catch. But the opponent actually reset their debuff. However, we should still be good here as long as we're at good timing and manage my energy well. Of course, I am going to be shielding up the Shadow Punch. We're then going to throw out 1, 4 or 7, maintaining very disciplined fast move timing. The Rage Fist forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. An argument could be made there that they should have tanked the first. It wouldn't have quite knocked out, and I've had a very tough time of Karate Chop farming them down. However, as the opponent opted to shield the first move, I can just farm up, throw the Rage Fist on the CMP tie. At this point, I've got the close combat banked. Is it necessary to throw the close combat at this low health Drapion? Yes, super necessary, and we take that game. Heading into the next battle, we see Galvantula into Annihilape. You'd think this is a good lead, but it's nowhere near as good as you'd like. You can see that the resisted counters are doing more than 1 neutral volt switches. That's because we are just insanely glassy. The opponent fire off the Rage Fist, then send out Kingdra. I'm going to fire off the lunge. Lunge won't do too much, but if it goes unshielded, I can go straight Rage Fist. If I force a protection, I can send out Primeape and look to farm up to maximum energy. This, of course, is an obvious Octazooka, but Primeape very, very glassy. Even an Octazooka would hurt. We farm up to the double CC. CC sneaks through the Protect Shield, back out, comes Annihilape, and we're now doubled up on Rage Fist. The opponent should tank the first, as the second will do more damage. The opponent actually make a mistake, shielding the first one. The second one going to come very close to knocking out. We snipe with one Astonish, getting a very cheeky running start. Out comes Walrein. Of course, the opponent has the typing advantage, but we're going to be able to get off the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball won't quite one-shot, but should put it in a range where either of my two remaining Pokemon can fast move beat him down. With that in mind, I'm never shielding my Balloon. Icicle Sphere doesn't quite knock out. The opponent able to Powder Snow farm me down. I send out Primeape. Unfortunately, Primeape unable to farm down, but one Volt Switch is going to be all she wrote. Heading into the next battle, we see the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death. You can see we're both hitting each other for super effective, but I found myself at half HP when they're still at around 2/3. We fire off the lunge, because why not? Talonflame, likely to shield. We then catch the charge move onto our Balloon, and out comes Ampharos. I commit to the Shadow Ball, looking to force the energy off the opponent. I think if I Icy Wind there, the opponent could just fully Volt Switch farm me down, and with that much energy, I'd be in trouble. I'm going to send out Primeape. I am going to respect the boosted Trailblaze and look to start vamping myself up. Thankfully, the opponent doesn't Brutal Swing bait me like an absolute savage. We're going to fire off the Rage Fist. Rage Fist won't quite be lethal. I'm hoping to Karate Chop farm down afterwards, which we get. Primeape leaves at half health, but very boosted. Back out comes Talonflame. I'm going to fire off two more Karate Chops and the next Rage Fist. Rage Fist gets some low. That looks like one Volt Switch range to me. We're able to snipe the remaining HP with Galvantula. I was hoping to debuff whatever's in the back, allowing Primeape to sweep the back line. Unfortunately, that's a Giratina, and this one is going to end in defeat. Primeape has energy good to go, but we're going to need like 3 Rage Fist, 1 to force the shield and 2 to knock him out. So I don't throw anything and I take my loss. Heading into the next battle, we see Shadow Dragonite in the lead. Oh boy, this Dragon Breath damage is disgusting. I am going to invest to Protect Shield. The opponent then switches out into Virizion, looking to catch a Discharge. I hold my energy and make the pivot into the Balloon. The opponent farm up to a Stone Edge. I'm hoping they don't have it, but clearly they do, but one is survival. We're then going to throw 3 Astonishes, throw the Icy Wind on the charge attack priority. This is perfect for me, because after a debuff, a Leaf Blade or Sacred Sword simply will not get the job done and should enable me to Astonish farm down afterwards. There's currently a glitch in the game where the opponent gets 1 turn bring in after their Pokemon faints. Here, I should die to 1 Dragon Breath, however that isn't the case, meaning we're able to knock out Dragonite. The opponent saving 2 Protect Shields for their Balloon. I send back out my Spider. Thankfully, I don't get 1 turn bring in, so I'm able to fire off the correct 2 Volt Switches and the Discharge. Discharge, force the protection. I bank the Discharge to the road and make the pivot into Primeape. My opponent here makes a massive mistake. They throw the Icy Wind as soon as they've got it, meaning I don't need to shield. What they should have done is at least farm up to the Shadow Ball. Even if they had intentions of baiting, you've got to pressure my final shield. They didn't do that, so that now gives me a very clear path to victory. Shield at the next move. We're going to throw the BM Close Combat because why not? It's triple resisted, but still going to force that shield. We've got the Discharge bank. Even if they had a charge move, which they don't, Galvantula easily wins CMP, and we're going to take that game. Heading into the next battle. We lead Shadow Galvantula into Zygarde, one of the worst leads we could possibly see. We save switch into our Balloon, and out comes Clefable. The opponent throws a Swift immediately, which is certainly not the play. This kind of got me thinking. Of course, I've run a lot of Spice recently, because I love Spice, and you lot have asked to see a lot of these spicy Pokemon. However, I feel that when my elo drops too low, I'm going to win battles just because opponents don't know typings, etc. So would you like to see me continue to showcase as many spicy Pokemon as I physically can, or would you like me to show you triple shadow teams that you can actually climb with? I'm happy either way. I personally don't give a toss about Legend. I think it's kind of worthless, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Returning to the commentary, the opponent's got a Shadow Typhlosion in the back, so Galvantula quite literally has nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. I send out Primeape, the opponent makes the pivot back into Zygarde, we bank our energy and send out the Spider. This is either a Crunch or Bulldoze. The opponent fire off the Bulldoze and get the debuff, and that debuff is brutal. Despite me throwing the correct 2 Volt Switches and the lunge, for optimal fast move timing, I'm going to be unable to reach the next lunge. Oh man. It kind of is what it is at this point, of course. I'm never shielding this move. We're going to try and cheese our way through this battle, but I think this one will end in defeat. Primeape is just so glassy. If he was able to get off that lunge, that would do two things. First, I wouldn't need to throw this energy at Zygarde, as they would have already been knocked out, and secondly, would have took less damage when Primeape returned, as of course they would have had one further stage debuff. However, it's not meant to be. Typhlosion going to incinerate farm me down, and we are going to take a loss. GG's that opponent. In the next battle, we see Poliwrath in the lead. The opponent say switches into Typhlosion. We have no great response, so I send out the balloon. You can see the Astonish is doing crazy damage. The opponent farm up to the Blast Burn, which I am going to respect. I'm not even baiting the Shadow Ball. I'm just going straight Icy Wind. Icy Wind still commands a Protect Shield back, and at this point, the balloon is going to be sacked. Thank you very much, Mr. Balloon, for your contribution. Thunder Punch actually isn't lethal, which means we get off one further Astonish. However, in return, the opponent gets off one further Incinerate, meaning they're going to reach a Blast Burn, even debuffed. A Blast Burn probably knocks out Shadow Primeape, so we are going to respect it. The opponent full send the Blast Burn. We then snipe with one Volt Switch, and out comes Gator. Finally, Galvantula's time to shine. We're going to fire off the lunge. Lunge forces the opponent's final Protect Shield, and again the opponent throws on alignment. So of course, if you're the opponent, you should have thrown one Shadow Claw, then your charge move, not giving me 4 free turns. I would have only got 2 free turns, but that's neither here nor there. We're going to pick up the knockout. Back out comes Poliwrath. Poliwrath, not too commonly seen in the meta now. It takes 9 counters to the Scald. So we're going to farm up, throw the close combat on the charge attack priority, and take that game. I haven't said it for a while, but stay in school, kids, and learn to count. If you want to learn all the counts for all these Pokemon, you can check out our website called Pokemoves.com. It is fantastic. You can just search the name of a Pokemon, and it'll tell you all the counts for every moveset in its arsenal. In the next battle, we see Cresselia in the lead. I paused the turn, ensuring the lunge landed on its intended target. The opponent instant throw, which of course I wouldn't recommend. I then attempt to throw the lunge on the CMP tie. The opponent makes amends for that alignment throw, catching it onto Talonflame. I see a lot of people comment they're stuck around the 2500, 2700, etc. and yet to hit legend. I think today's battles kind of show you some of the flaws people in this ELO range have. Of course, this opponent's fast move timing isn't fantastic, but the opponent had great anticipation, anticipating when I'd throw the next lunge. To get to legend rank, you kind of just need to pull all your aspects together. I think some of the most important things in Pokemon Go PvP are fast move timing, energy management, and knowing them counts. For anyone that is stuck at veteran or expert rank and really wants to hit legend for the first time, or perhaps you're only at legend like once and you're struggling to hit it again, I'd highly recommend joining my Discord, which is linked down below. Get yourself streaming, and myself and some of the other battlers will be happy to point you in the right direction to some of the things you need to brush up on. I by no means am claiming to be the best battler in the world, but at this point I've played this game all the way since pre-season, and I feel I've got the fundamentals pretty nailed on. 3 months is such a long time, so if you're able to nail down all them fundamentals that I've been previously discussing, I promise you legend rank is very achievable. In the next battle, we see Dragonite in the lead. The opponent say switches into Cresselia. Not complaining whatsoever. We're going to fire off the back-to-back lunges, forcing a 2-stage debuff in this Cresselia, and then make the pivot into our balloon. Astonish offers disgusting fast move pressure, so as I've already got him at half health, I'm just going to commit to a full Astonish farm down, looking to leave with all the energy in the world, making it very difficult for Dragonite to re-enter the arena. Despite this opponent actually running Future Sight, which is their best DP move, despite getting a small nerf a couple of seasons ago. 2-stage debuff, we're able to tank 2 no problem whatsoever. The opponent makes a very nice play, giving me the show and go, sending out Dragonite and catching the Icy Wind onto Tentacruel. However, we're still able to reach a Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball going to do a lot of damage to Tentacruel. The opponent invests their final protection. I pivot out into Galvantula, thinking I'll reach a charge move, and all I actually do is give the opponent free farm. Has Jamie Finn found his own lose con? I was watching Home Slice Henry yesterday running Shadow Caesar, and he said people love to bait it. Guess what? I've been running Shadows a long time. I know people love to bait Shadow Pokemon. I call the opponent's going to Acid Spray bait me, and that bait will be sealing this opponent's fate. We farm up, throw the close combat hits harder than Rage Fist, close combat removes Dragonite from the field of play, back out comes Tentacruel, and we're going to fire off the Rage Fist and pick up the dub. GG's that opponent. I think that battle once again was a prime example. The opponent made some very nice plays, and then they went for a very unnecessary bait. Of course, they should have just full sent the Scald. If I wouldn't have respected it, I'd probably just die to quick moves. In the next battle, we see G-Weezy in the lead position. The opponent farm up to a potential overheat, but who's really going to overheat Shadow Galvantula? They fire off the Brutal Swing. But even 2 non-stab Brutal Swings knock us out. Galvantula, little buddy, you are so bloody glassy. It's nice to catch the G-Weezy in the lead. Of course, Primeape doesn't want to see it whatsoever. We send out the balloon. We tank a Brutal Swing, commit to the Astonish Farm Down. Out comes Gator. We're going to full send the Shadow Ball, looking to nuke him, and then make the pivot into Primeape. Shadow Ball gets very little respect. The opponent pivots out into Talonflame, and here comes Primeape. To us have any chance of winning this game, we need him not to be on Flame Charge. Of course, it's a Flame Charge Talonflame. If they're actually on Fly, I think we've got a chance here because we pace so ridiculously quickly to these charge moves. 8 turns apiece, whereas the opponent alternates between 10 and 15. Of course, we haven't seen their second move, so what I should have said, I need him to be on Fly Brave Bird, a full flying moveset, as opposed to Flame Charge and a singular flying move. But unfortunately, Flame Charge Talonflame, going to be too much for us, and we're going to take a loss. GG's to that opponent. In the next battle, we see Malamar in the lead. Malamar's double weak to Bug, but unfortunately we used an electric type quick move. So only hitting for neutral, but the lunge, I'm almost certain I'll pick up the one shot. I do attempt to pause, although pausing is very difficult of a one-turn move. Thankfully the lunge lands on its intended target. I am going to throw this next one immediately. If the opponent catches, so be it. The opponent doesn't make a catch, we're able to force both Protect Shields. We make the pivot at the same time, but we end up very much on the right side of things. Shadow and Shadow Crime, a Shadow Punch will do a lot, but is survivable. And I'm always going to look to save at least one shield for Primeape, and I'm very glad I made that decision, as out comes Licky, far too thicky, and this game is signed, sealed, and delivered. So how we're going to play this one out, of course, we're just going to tank whatever Lickitung throws, save the shield for the potential super power from Malamar, look to farm up to the double CC, and just nuke the shit out of everything. The opponent fire off the Shadow Ball, bank the Body Slam for the road. Back out comes Malamar. We're just going to burn the final Protect Shield, farm up to the double CC, and we all know how this one ends with Primeape running rampant. 1 CC removes Malamar from the field of play. Back out comes Licky, far too thicky, but Primeape is about to tell you it's Licky not thick enough. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we've got some Shadow and Shadow Crime, a very cool Shiny Shadow Dragonite flex from our opponent. The opponent throws at very, very nice fast move timing. I am going to burn the shield here. Throwing a lunge isn't even a bait. You can see the Volt Switches have already gotten below half health, so if the opponent opts not to shield this, we would be able to knock them out. I was hoping to bank a lunge and then make the pivot, but it very quickly becomes apparent that I simply cannot do that. So rather than concede a farm down, I make the pivot into the balloon, and my balloon save switch is answered by Gator. I recognise I'm tanky enough to survive a Hydro Cannon and still reach the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball forces the opponent's final Protect Shield, and Primeape is once again going to be tasked with the heavy lifting. Primeape hits the field of play. I'm going to shield up this Hydro Cannon. The opponent is now energy dry, so I'm going to throw 5 Karate Chops and the Rage Fist, maximising my farm. Primeape farms up, plays to that CMP type. Primeape doesn't lose many charge attack priorities in this format whatsoever. Down goes Gator. I was really hoping that boosted Primeape would make quick work of the backline, but out comes Cresselia, one very bulky boy. We fire off the Rage Fist, farm up, make the catch, back onto the Spider. Primeape is still alive, but has undone its own attack buff. This is all going to come down to energy management. I'm always going to ensure I've got 2 charge moves banked. So when Dragonite switched in, I can swiftly knock it out. We farm up to the double. The opponent makes the catch, but it's simply too little too late. Rage Fist moves Dragonite from the field of play. We're doubled up. It's going to be hi Cresselia, bye Cresselia. Who was worried? Not me. GG's, and thanks for playing. In the next battle, we see a dreadful lead. We instantly pivot into our balloon. The opponent stays in, goes straight for a Thunder Punch. As they're not a Shadow, Thunder Punch is survivable, but Typhlosion hits incredibly hard. The opponent then makes the pivot into Guzzlord, so I'm very thankful I didn't shield Drifblim, as this is a very, very poor matchup for us. The opponent tanked the Icy Wing, commit to the full Dragon Tail farm down. I send out Galvantula, looking to use one of the glassiest Pokemon eligible for the format as a damage sponge. It actually looks like after that Icy Wind, we're actually able to survive 2 charge moves. At this point, I've got the lunge banked. However, Galvantula with a monstrous attack stat, I think it's better to bank the energy, snipe with Primeape, knowing Galvantula will likely win CMP in the end game. We get a huge energy lead, back out comes Typhlosion, the opponent tank the Rage Fist, then make the pivot into Virizion. Primeape once again, looking to do what it does best, a sweep with them shields to hide behind. We fire off the Rage Fist, the opponent reluctant to shield the first, but there is plenty more of where that came from. The next Rage Fist forces the opponent's first Protect Shield. The opponent throws on alignment, and that is something you never want to do against a ramped up angry little ape. The opponent doubles down, thrown on alignment. I actually remember this battle, so all I really need to do is throw 2 karate chops and the move. I end up throwing on alignment, but I am actually doubled up. The opponent lets go of Virizion. Back out comes Typhlosion. Rage Fist will be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. Typhlosion, 172 attack, dwarfed by Galvantula's 180. We win the charge attack priority and we take that game. I potentially found my own lose con on that battle, as I ended up throwing on alignment. If the opponent would have shielded Virizion and the double kick knocked me out, they would have actually emerged victorious. In the next battle, we see Gator in the lead. This matchup is nowhere near as good as you'd expect. The opponent is able to outpace, and trust me, we do not tank a Shadow Hydro Cannon whatsoever. We farm up, throw the lunge, forces the protection, and rather than double shield, I'm just going to use the balloon to tank the debuffed Hydro Cannon. Unless the opponent pivot out, we're going to get a very nice Astonish farm down. The opponent concedes the farm down and then send out Poliwrath. This, of course, is not a very good Drifblim answer whatsoever. We throw 5 Astonishes and the Shadow Ball for optimal fast move timing, and it is just before the opponent receives the energy for the Icy Wind. Poliwrath tanks the damage, throws the Icy Wind, removing us from the field of play. I'm going to wait out my clock, because whatever I send out will be temporarily switch locked. We send out Galvantula, and it is Cresselia in the back. This team is triple weak to the pesky spider. It's like we're back in Season 7 or Season 8 when the spider was popping off. We've already established throughout today's video that Galvantula is very, very glassy, but you know what won't knock us out? A debuff Grass Knot. We tank the damage, bank our energy, make the pivot into Primeape, go straight for the Rage Fist. Rage Fist goes unshielded, and this game's over. I could tank this move, I could shield. I guess the quickest path to victory is shield it up, karate chop farm down everything, and take that game. In the next battle, once again, we see Gator in the lead. This opponent actually opts to pivot out instantly, sending out Talonflame, and I respond with my balloon. If the opponent goes straight for a Brave Bird, it's going to do a lot. However, that would debuff their defense and just enable me to fully Volt Switch farm down. The opponent fire off the Flame Charge. We're going to throw 3 Astonishes and the Icy Wind. Icy Wind forced to Protect Shield. This game was so annoying. I remember this one well as well. Here, of course, we should get a Volt Switch through. And after landing that Volt Switch, the next Volt Switch will knock out, meaning we're not going to take a boosted Incinerate. The game not working cost me like a third of my HP, but it simply don't really matter. As once again, Galvantula is core breaking this opponent. We fire off the lunge, make the pivot into Primeape. The opponent sends back out Gator. Are we going to bait? Of course we're not. Does the opponent respect the damage? They do not. Get that Gator off my screen. Back out comes Skuntank. We're able to reach the Rage Fist on the charge attack priority. Rage Fist forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. Bearing in mind we're double debuffed. The opponent also going to boost up their Poison Jab damage, but I've got a rank 1 Primeape. We're able to survive the Poison Jabs, reach the next Rage Fist, and take that game. Heading into the next battle, once again, we see our nemesis Zygarde. We say switch into the balloon, and out comes a Shadow Gator. We're going to full send the Shadow Ball. Come on, trainer, it's just an Icy Wind, I promise. Shadow Ball! Boo, go shielded. At this point, switch advantage is lost. If you can hear an annoying noise in the background, I apologise. Not only is someone smashing into my car, it sounds like my boiler's on the way out as well. I've got no idea why it's making that very annoying background noise. Just try and ignore it. It's been doing my head in all day. We send out Galvantula, look for the 1 shield farm down. Gator, as always, never dies, reaching 1 further Hydro Cannon, leaving me on a fraction of HP. I am just going to instant throw this. This Dragon Tail will be knocking me out. We fire off the lunge, make the pivot into Primeape. The opponent sends out Clefable. I am instantly out of there. You got me, buddy. GG's. In the next battle, we see Malamar in the lead. A nice matchup for Galvantula, especially when shields are in play. The opponent doesn't throw at the best timing. We are going to shield the first move, before, of course, throwing the very annoying debuff lunge. A double super effective. The opponent completely sacked Malamar. Oof, there's a big one shot. Out comes the balloon. I think the opponent's kind of forced to shield here. If not, they could potentially get swept. We go for the cheeky masturbating session, which is going to force the opponent to throw. Icy Wind is 5 then 4. 1 Rage Fist isn't going to be lethal, so I'm kind of in a tricky spot thinking, what should I send out? I'm actually just going to send out my own balloon and see if the opponent wants to stay in or show their third. They show their third, sending out Gator, quick switch into Primeape. As they're not Shadow, we do tank 1 Hydro Cannon, but spoiler alert, not particularly well. I look to farm up to the double CC. I'm worried I won't get there. I go for the Rage Fist bait. Rage Fist forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. Close combat will be moving them from the field of play. The opponent's only going to get one Astonish off, so this game is going to be over. We send back out our balloon, the opponent recognise it, and they concede the match. GG's, and thanks for playing. And that is just about going to wrap things up for today's deadly duo shoutcast of Shadow Primeape with Shadow Galvantula, two insane glass cannons, and I'll be honest, quite difficult to run on the same team. If you made it to this point in the video, I salute you. If you have actually made it to this point in the video, post trumpet down below. That is over 30 minutes of me chatting all kinds of nonsense. However, if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing if you like your battles featured on my channel. A link to my battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thanks to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.